I'm live. Hello. How is everybody? I hope you are having a fabulous day. Today is April 19th, and it is an exciting day and a lonely day and a day full of anxiety. So I hope you're doing well. I put some earphones in, AirPods in, hoping it would help the sound a little bit better. But hey, thanks for joining us. If you are hanging out live, my name is Joshua Becker, and this is my YouTube channel. And you have been a big part of my enjoyment on the internet for the last several years. I love what has been happening on the YouTube channel, and I love having each of you be a part of it. So honestly, it's one of my most favorite things. We publish a video every Friday, and we've been doing it for the last 2 years. And every time I do it, I'm like, well, are people going to like it? What are they going to say? What are the comments going to be? Um, is it going to be one of our popular ones? Is it going to be one of our not popular ones? I have no idea, but it's always fun to do. Okay, Patty said, thanks for another live. Good. Amy said, you are such an inspiration to us. Well, that is very kind. Laureen says, hello from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Mary pre-ordered the audio version of a book. Claycat4 says, hi, Joshua. Beautiful. I am here on a little hello from New York City, a little background information to the YouTube channel. I always schedule my videotaping around my haircuts. Gabriella should be here hanging out, moderating the chat and hanging out with each of you. And she is the producer and editor of the YouTube channel. And whenever she comes and we record videos, I always say, I need to work around a haircut, because when it gets too long, then my wife doesn't like how wide it gets on the sides. So Mary says my hair looks fine. I appreciate that. I think it's getting a little bit long, but it is the evening here of April 19th, and it is an exciting day. And I don't need to make this whole live about my book, but I'm going to mention it because today is the day that my new book just came out, Things That Matter, Overcoming Distraction to Pursue a More Meaningful Life. Launch days are really quite unique, and I don't know if that's just me or if it's everyone else. I've heard other people say the same thing. I have spent 3 years working on this book, like 3 years getting ready for today. And then today comes, literally, it turns midnight last night. And we probably scheduled 24 podcast interviews. I was on the local news last weekend and try to get different articles placed in different media outlets. And then the day comes and you're like, well, now what am I going to do? I don't, you don't see your sales, at least not if you're published with a publisher. They all go to the publisher, doesn't even see them until the end of the week. And so I guess you can follow Amazon rankings a little bit to see if anybody's buying the book. I don't know. Like, I don't actually know who's buying the book, if they like it, if they hate it. Amazon refreshes their rankings like every 3 or 4 hours. And so I'm clicking like every 20 minutes to see if they've updated, just to have some idea of what's going on in the world out there. The book is currently number 50 in all of Amazon, at least here in the US. So I think it's doing good. My goal was to make it in the top 100, and it's in the top 50. So, but I did a Facebook Live earlier this afternoon, and I just wanted to schedule an evening where I would just hang out and talk to you guys, and honestly just sit and answer any questions that you guys might have. Give me something to do rather than have all this nervous energy. I do want to share one story about the writing of the book that I think helps shape what it's about. I was this was 3 years ago, September 2019, so just about 3 years ago. And I attended a conference here in Mesa, Arizona, over at Pam Slim's place, put on by Charlie Gilkey. And the title of the seminar was Start Finishing. And his topic was all about literally how do we finish projects that we start? Specifically, how do we finish difficult, meaningful projects that are important? It might be easy to sit and finish a series on Netflix. It might be easy to sit and finish a level on Candy Crush, but typically our most meaningful work takes effort and perseverance and focus. And so, how do we get to that point where we accomplish our most important work? And at the beginning of the seminar, Charlie had us all close our eyes and he asked this question, which probably the one thing that I've learned over the course of today is how significant this one question is for people. I included it in the book, not as a major point of the book, but more as just a description of why I ended up writing the book. And so I just included the story of what Charlie asked me, what he asked all of us. And what I found is that this is one of the most favorite parts of the book. Charlie's question is one of the most favorite parts of the book that I wrote. But anyway, um, this is what he said. And I think it's probably worth thinking about for all of us. So he said, I want you to apply the principles of this workshop on how do we finish important work in our lives to something specific in your book, in your life. And so he said, close your eyes and answer this question. And I'm even going to have you do it in the chat. I think that would be kind of fun. Close your eyes. If you were to die today, what is the one thing you would be most disappointed that you hadn't accomplished with your life? I'll repeat the question again, and I'm going to read them. So put them in here. If you were to die today, what is the one thing you would most regret not accomplishing with your life? As they're kind of filling in on the chat here, there were several of us on the around the table. There was a young lady in her 20s. She's an artist, and she had been working on this art project for quite some time. And she said, "I would be pretty disappointed that I hadn't finished this art project. I think it was very meaningful, not just for me, but what I wanted to communicate through it." A mother of two teenage children, as we shared, she said the first thing that came to her mind was that she would most regret that she hadn't prepared her two children for life. Um, that um, that this is what she was trying to do, but didn't feel like the job was quite complete. And if life was gone today, that would be the thing that she would most regret not completing. I thought of this book. Honestly, I thought of this book. It was the thing that came to my mind. I thought to myself, I would be most disappointed if I didn't write that book about all the topics that minimalism applies to beyond physical possessions. And what I mean by that is I've done a number of weekend retreats about minimalism and how we come in and do a retreat where I speak 4 times, once on Friday, twice on Saturday, and once on Sunday. And you can only talk about decluttering your closet so much, really. But I would always talk about minimalism, the purpose of minimalism, that minimalism is about freeing up our lives for more important pursuits than just owning a bunch of stuff. There are more important things that we can do with our lives than just buy a lot of things. Like there's just greater things that we can do and accomplish and pursue. And so my Sunday morning talk was always about not just how do possessions distract us from a meaningful life. But what are some of the other distractions in society or in the world that if we get too caught up chasing them, we'll get to the end of our lives and regret that we wasted so much time and money and energy pursuing them. And so that Sunday morning, I would talk about, hey, like this idea of having enough and there are better things to pursue than material possessions could also be applied to money. Like, how many of us just constantly need and want more and more money all the time? Is there ever a time where we can have enough and we can direct our life towards more important things? Or for me, what about like praise or reputation or accolades or fame or just like the pursuit of being recognized for the things that you're doing rather than just doing the things that are important? I get into topics about how how fear can become a distraction in our life, how our past how our past can become a distraction in our life. 60% of Americans say that they are held back from the future they want because of a mistake they committed in their past. 55% of Americans say that they are held back from the life they want to be living. This is so sad because of a mistake, a wrong committed against them. So, how we deal with that regret or how we deal with that injustice or that wrong matters. The pursuit of leisure, certainly the pursuit of not just the pursuit, but like technology and the trivial and how our phones get in the way. And so, all those things I think can get in the way. So, okay, I got to scroll back, I think, because so many chats. I asked the question, if you were to die today, what is the one thing you would most regret not completing? Writing a children's book. Olympia says the books that she didn't read yet. Heather talks about traveling. Celesta, is that how I say that? Talks about traveling. Burke talks about freeing up her life. Valerie talks about not writing a book. AJ talks about not spending time with her mother. Darcy talks about spending time with her grandchildren and children. Julie talks about some experiences. Some people just say that's a heavy question. I agree. Good. These comments are bringing me tears. JL says, not seeing my family enough. I regret spending too much time cleaning. Yeah, so I never regret giving up my personal time and going bankrupt. This was the book that came to my mind, and I said I really want to have written down how I think there are more distractions that keep us from a meaningful life than just physical possessions. And so this is the book that was born from that. It took me about 2.5 years to write. Possessions is a chapter in here. So if that's why you're here, there's a chapter in there, but I think you'll find that the book goes much further. I had someone contact me who had had an early review of the book. And she said, I got your book and I assumed it was just going to be the same old stuff I've heard before. But this book really caused me to ask questions of myself that I never thought I would ask. And she said, honestly, every time I read a chapter and thought about the topic, I went to bed excited about what my life could look like starting the next day. And so I hope you have the same approach to it. Things that matter, overcoming distraction to pursue a more meaningful life. I'm actually going to do a virtual book club for the very first time ever. I've never done anything like it and still kind of trying to wrap my head around how it's going to look, but I'm really excited. So if you get the book now, if you want to be one of the early readers of the book, go pick up the book now. And then how are we going to do this? I can pin a comment on this video. There's a webpage that you can go to and sign up to join us for the virtual book club. You'll need a receipt and order number because I just want people there who have the book and have read it. That's the conversation I want to have, is people who have thought about some of these things a little bit more, so we can go a little bit more in depth. And so I'll pin a comment, or if Gabriella's hanging on right now, she can pin a comment right to the top. So if you get the book now and you want to be one of the first people to read it, then get the book and then go sign up for the virtual book club. And I'm going to do those 4 Fridays in a row. We're going to cover 2 or 3 chapters each week. I'm going to talk a little more in depth about the chapter, some of the things that didn't make it into the book, and then we'll just sit and chat. And I'll have some questions for us to talk about, literally via chat, and answer any questions that you might have about the book as well. So it's going to be fun. Oh, look, Gabriella, she's on it. Becoming Minimalist.com-ck cuts off on mine, but there you go. Okay, I read the book and it's fantastic. I never realized that most of the time I spend is on distractions. No wonder my life seems to never move forward. Kathy already finished the book in a day. Someone else sent me an email where they said, I've never read a book as quickly as I finished this one. And honestly, I take that as a compliment. I really do. I have always wanted to be easy to read. Maybe I learned it from my grandpa, who grew up as a shepherd, became a pastor, and did a fair amount of writing and speaking, and would just always say, I'm just a shepherd at heart who uses simple words to try to communicate. And I try to write the same way. I don't use big words to try to sound smart. I don't think that I write in a way that is slow to get through. I feel like it's easy to read, but still communicates what I want it to communicate in a way that is both challenging and inspiring. And as I say this, it occurs to me that some of you don't even know me as a writer. You just know me as a YouTuber. So I am not a YouTuber who chose to write a book, but I am a writer who chose to become a YouTuber. I just saw that YouTube was an opportunity to take some of my writing and put it into a video format that reaches new people, some people who maybe wouldn't read a blog but would be perusing around on YouTube, and still reaching them with some of these ideas of owning less and living a more intentional life. But I really started out writing, and so I hope you'll pick up the book. Okay, that's good. That's enough about the book. What are we gonna do? Should we just chat with people? What do we got to do? Do we got any questions that people want to ask me? This is also why your videos are so great. You speak the truth from your heart. Well, I appreciate that. Would the book club sessions be recorded? The book club sessions will be recorded. We'll make sure of it. I know not everyone can join us live. I'd love you to be there live, because I'm going to interact with people and answer questions and ask some questions and things like that. So if you can join us live, that'd be great. But certainly we're going to record them and make them available. William thought I was Mormon. AJ already joined the book club. Fantastic. Genevieve says, I love your YouTube videos. They're perfect timing for what I need to hear, and they're concise and to the point. Boy, that is true. YouTube sometimes, I feel like most 12 or 13 minute videos on YouTube have about 2 or 3 minutes of content. And I'm like, why do I need to waste people's times? Like, I have a simple point that I want to get across on every video, and I don't need 13 minutes to do it. And so we always shoot for right around in the 3 to 5 minute range. YouTube hates it. YouTube always says 8 to 12 minutes is what they should be. I think because they want to put a commercial in the middle of your ad. They want to have an advertisement at the beginning, and they want to have an advertisement in the middle. And so you have to have a certain amount of length to do that. So they'll tell you to do 10 or 12 minutes, but we don't do any ads. I don't do any ads at the beginning. I don't do any ads at the middle. I'm just going to give 3 or 4 minute videos. I did one time someone wrote and said, I wish you did longer because I like falling to sleep listening to your videos. And if they were longer, then it would help me fall asleep better. And I wasn't sure if I should take that as a compliment or not. Um, I suppose there are worse things to fall asleep to than my thoughts on life and the world. But anyway, there you go. YouTube has been the perfect platform to me to find you in minimalism. That's fantastic. I was so excited to wake up and have your Kindle book ready to read. Loving it so far. I was up late. I don't know. I'm on the West Coast. I'm in Phoenix, so it was like 93 degrees here today. But I'm on the Pacific time zone, and so at 9 o'clock last night, I got a ding on my phone that actually an email that the book was ready and that I could download it. And so I even had it last night and I opened it up right away and I went in and I highlighted some of my favorite sentences because I think when you go in Kindle, it shows you what sentences have been most highlighted by other readers. And so I wanted to get the ball rolling on what I thought were the best sentences. And so I went in and highlighted some of the most important sentences in the book, just so I don't know if it makes a big difference or not, but that's what I did. Okay. Yes, it's a compliment. I have a soothing voice. Thank you very much. Maybe you should make some mindfulness videos for YouTube. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if I know how to make a mindfulness video. Um, that's wonderful. If we are visiting Peoria this summer, is there any way to meet? I track down my email and send me an email. I am actually I'll make a different mention here, but I'm a little more agreeable to meet with people who randomly email me than people might think. Um, I did learn Phoenix is large. We're up in northwest of Phoenix, and it's a maybe hour and a half drive to the southeast side of the city. And so people email and say, "Hey, we're going to be in Phoenix, and any chance we could get together for coffee?" And I always follow up with, "Where are you in the city?" Because if you're an hour and a half away, then it's probably not going to work. But hey, if you're willing to travel and yeah, anyway, I think that would be fine. But I should mention, look, I just got a text from my dad asking how the first day of book sales went. So that's kind of fun. Um, that being said, I'm going on a tour this summer. My family and we're going to do a Midwest book tour for the book. We're starting at Midwest and South, really is the best way to say it. Starting in Omaha, we're actually doing an event in Phoenix in June. Starting in Omaha in July, Omaha, Chicago, Indianapolis, Louisville, um, Kentucky, Nashville, Atlanta, Birmingham, Austin, Houston, a couple other cities along the way. And so I always tell people if they want a signed book, you can come meet me at my local Planet Fitness at 7 o'clock in the morning where I work out, or come join us on the book tour if you're anywhere near one of those cities. BecomingMinimalist.com/tour, and you can find all the cities and tickets are available. Tickets are $10. I never make any money from any of our book tours, but $10 covers some of the rental fees. We're all on college campuses. So if you're in any of those cities, check us out or come drive and meet us. That would be fantastic. Okay, we're in Chicago. We are at the University of Loyola in Chicago, and that is on July 5th. When are you in Atlanta? Atlanta is, let's see, Houston is July 17th. New Orleans is July 15th. Birmingham, July 13th. I think July 12th, July 11th or 12th, something like that. Darcy wants to know about the Hope Effect. HopeEffect.com is the nonprofit that we started. I just had a bit of someone just asked on not Loyola in Chicago. My wife just texted me. So we are at a different college in Chicago. Wonderful. This is great. I got these text people sorting me. Indianapolis. Yep, we're going to be in Indianapolis. We're at the University of Chicago. Loyola is in New Orleans. I love that your videos don't have ads. You really care about not giving us more things to not buy, right? Except for the book. So there you go. Hello, Joshua. So, although someone just said, "Isn't books clutter?" Someone just complained when I mentioned on Facebook that I had a new book. Isn't books clutter? Is what they said, and man, I jump in as soon as I possibly can because learning is not clutter. Like the goal of minimalism is not to stop learning and growing and becoming a better person. And one of the ways we grow is through reading. It's one of the ways that it's not the only way, but reading or watching videos or attending seminars or just in conversations or doing things like there's a lot of different learning styles, but reading is one of them. And so I wrote back and I said, reading is not clutter. Like, certainly, I think books can become clutter if we're just buying a bunch of books that we're not reading, or even if we're holding on to every book that we've ever read and not passing them along, then certainly they can become clutter. But granted, it's a minor thinking that minimalism would mean that I don't read anymore. But certainly, that's not the case. So, the book is a great regift. Absolutely, I love it. What college in Houston? I believe we're at the University of Houston. Is that correct? University of Houston. Anyway, I hope your book is translated into many languages and gets read by as many people as possible. Thank you. I know that there's a number of translations that are already coming out, and my publisher is always great. We probably have 4 or 5 translations that are already being worked on, and Susan, she's fantastic over at my publisher. She emails and she tells me all the time. She says this isn't normal. She said most of the time a book has to do well in the English market, and then it gets picked up and translated into other languages. But to have other languages already translating your book before it's even become available is pretty rare, and so I'm always thankful for that. But I forget the official ones that it's already. I think Chinese and I think the French one I noticed and the Spanish one was being worked on, but they take a little time. So we're in New Orleans. Where in New Orleans is the book tour? We're going to be in. Look, they're texting me the list. My fabulous wife. Uh, anyway, you can look it up. It's all online, becomingminimalist.com/tour. Okay. Could you please put your book tour link in the description? Gabriella, if you are on, she texted that she was having internet problems. But Gabriella, if you're on, post a link to that. Audiobook would be great, especially in author's voice. I listen while working. Audiobook is already available. I recorded it myself. Thank you for calling my voice soothing. Someone else once called it soothing while they try to go to sleep to my videos. Named your book the same as the one by the late Charles Krauthammer. That is true. That is true. Not by design. Actually, one of the first times when they said that Things That Matter had been sent out to retailers and was now online, and I Googled Things That Matter, is when I first saw Things That Mattered by Charles Krauthammer, who I actually appreciated quite a lot and learned a lot. William, you caught my attention while surfing because of your hair, so that's good. I was just commenting how I'm on the tail end of a haircut. Held together pretty well today, so that's good. I will get your audiobook, Cynthia Johnson. Awesome, getting it right away. Thank you. You're reaching more and more people continually and making such a positive influence in the world. Kenneth Bailey said, "You know what? Yeah, I'm 47, and I want to be as effective as I can be for as long as I can be in reaching people and helping people. Like primarily about the message of minimalism, but even beyond how we can own less and live more, but just removing other distractions, which the new book is all about. Um, and I made my first Instagram reel. Is that what it's called? The little video where they play like a movie clip and you mouth the words. And so I did that with Rochelle Crawford, who I think is brilliant at making them all about minimalism and decluttering and raising kids. And she has a great Instagram channel. I think she's the funniest of all the minimalist folks on social media. And so she asked me to do a little video where I mouthed words to a video clip. And so I did that in preparation for the book, and it was fun. But it was a little reminder of, man, staying relevant. How do you do that? You can't. I had a good friend, Gary Schoolcraft, who I actually interviewed for this book. Who he was older in life when I first met him, 60s or so, and he told me, he said, Joshua, um, I want to know what all the new social media platforms are. He said, I just want to be familiar with them, whether I use them all or not. I just want to know how people are communicating in the world. And I was really inspired by that, and I thought it was important. And so I try to do a good job of that, but man, I struggle with like TikTok and Snapchat and some of the things that my kids are on. Like I know them and I know how they function. I just um, I don't use them a lot, and so I don't know if blogging is going away. I don't know if YouTube is going to be going away at some point, but those are the platforms that I use right now to reach people, and um, I'm always up for a new way to do that. Sorry, I don't know, but do you still write blog posts? I do, twice a week, becomingminimalist.com. And yeah, that's fantastic, Laura. I love. Too bad you don't come to Minneapolis, Mindy. Oh, we were so close to coming to Minneapolis. Long story. My wife's family's in Omaha. My family's in South Dakota, and so the original route was going to be start in Omaha, go visit my family in South Dakota, go over to Minneapolis, and then come on down that way. But some scheduling things got in the way, and so we weren't able to go up to South Dakota. And so we're going to start in Omaha, and then my family's going to come meet me. And then my parents are actually coming with me on the tour. So my wife and two kids and my parents, and we're just going to have a good time meeting people and seeing some of the stuff. So, okay. I've read more since I got my Kindle. Your perfect influence on me. Well, that's nice. Thank you for answering the call the Lord has on your life. July 11th at Georgia State University for those in Atlanta. Beautiful. Thank you for looking that up. Come to Maine. Have you ever been to Maine? I have been to Maine. I lived in Vermont for 6 years, and so I've been to Maine and spoke up there, although not about minimalism. It was about something else, but have been there as well. I just heard about you from a lady in one of my crochet YouTube feeds. She decluttered her craft room. I'm inspired to declutter my house eventually. I've been working on it since finding your videos. Oh, you will love owning less. Please tell Susan, your publisher, that we want to hear anything you have to say. Okay, that's very kind. Could you please put your book tour link in the description? Okay, what do we got? So what should we talk about? I'm happy to hang out. Any questions specifically? Loving the impact minimalism has had on my 3 and 5-year-old. They respect their possessions. It's been a beautiful transition. Hi, Joshua. Do you and your wife homeschool your kids? We do not. We've always sent our kids to public school. But we've always been happy with the public school that we've in the area that we've lived in. And so the public school in Vermont was really good. The public school in our neighborhood here in Peoria was one of the best in the state. And so we've never had a problem sending our kids to public school. The high school that both our kids went to, my daughter's a sophomore now, is good and does a good job. So we've always done that. I uh, I I don't know. If the public school wasn't good, didn't have a good reputation, I don't know if we would have homeschooled or not. But that's what we've done. Okay, my attention span is horrible, which is why I practice minimalism and why I have to do audiobooks. It's so interesting because the one thing I have with audiobooks is I find my attention wandering when I listen to a book. When I read, I have to stay focused on it, and so that is my preference. And as much debate is there about digital book or physical books, I still love reading physical books. Having it in my hands, I can read Kindle, but people ask me sometimes, should I do Kindle? Should I do hardcover books or audiobooks? Look, you should read in the way that helps you the most. Like you should read in the way that allows you to absorb the most, whether it's a physical book. Like that's the goal of reading, is that we would be inspired or entertained or changed. And so if it's listening and that's what works best for you, then listen. If it's a digital on a Kindle, then do that. But if it's having a physical book in front of you, then that's what you should do as well. And so that's what I do, specifically because when I listen, I always find my attention wandering around just about a little bit. What are your recent hobbies? I have been two things: playing a lot of tennis and doing a lot of running slash hiking. Actually, my son and I ran a half marathon in January, and we wanted to break the 2 hour time limit, and so it was the first time he'd ever run a half marathon. And so we trained together, and we did a lot of training for that. And then just a week and a half ago, I hiked the Grand Canyon with him, rim to rim to rim, all in one day. So 52 miles. It took us 23 hours to complete. We started at 5 a.m. and ended at 4 a.m. And we were exhausted at the end, but a lot of training had gone into that. So those are some of the hobbies that we've been doing recently. Okay. You may not want to address this, but whenever I'm in the dumps, I watch your sermons from Journey Church. How I wish there were a few more. Oh, that is gracious. Um, Holly, thank you. Mary says, hello, Joshua. Since you and your family are minimalist, does it mean you have a big savings of money? No, it doesn't mean we have a big savings of money. We started a nonprofit back in 2015 called the Hope Effect. And so a lot of our excess money goes to the Hope Effect. We have been able to spend less on ourselves, becoming minimalist. Certainly, you're buying fewer things, and so you have more money, and you're able to save more money. But one of the things I even talk about in this book a little bit, I've never thought that the goal of life was to just save as much money as I possibly could. I think the goal of life is to bring about the greatest good that we can in the world for the greatest number of people. And I don't think we do that by uh, hoarding all the money that comes into us. And so certainly it is wise to save, and that is something that we should be doing. And if you're not saving, then do what you can to stop spending so you can save and get ahead a little bit. But the goal was never just to have as much money in the nest egg as much as I possibly could. But the goal would be able to use the money that I'm not spending on other things for things that matter. And so we started the Hope Effect back in 2015 and continue to support that pretty highly, including a lot from this book. Okay, you could have come to Iowa too from Omaha. Oh, we're in Des Moines. We're in Des Moines, Angelique, July 3rd. July 3rd, we're going to be in Des Moines. I have family in Des Moines, so I should not have forgot about that. Are your kids minimalist as becoming adults? So we'll find out. My daughter's 16 and my son is 19, and I don't know what they're going to choose, and it's going to be up to them. And I don't think they'll know what they're going to choose until they have the financial means to make the choice. Does that make sense? So whenever I speak on college campuses and when I speak to college students, I will say something along the lines of, hey, look, becoming minimalist for you is going to require a decision today or soon where you just say, hey, I'm going to live a minimalist life. I'm not going to waste my money and time on things that don't matter. I'm going to own what I need to and not accumulate more than I do. However, you're also going to have to make that decision once you get your first job or once you have your first significant pay raise. It's one thing to say, I'm going to be a minimalist when you're a poor college student. It's something completely different once you have your first $80,000 a year job, $100,000 a year job. Like once the big paychecks show up, are you still going to decide that you're just going to buy what you need? Because that's when the temptation gets real, I guess would be the way to say it. And so, what will my children decide? I don't know. I kind of think I've made a pretty good case as to why it's foolish to buy a bunch of stuff that you don't need. But we'll see. We'll find out for sure when they get the ad. But I do know one thing, that regardless of what they choose, they can always come back to what they learned at home. And I think that's one of the most important things about teaching values to our kids. Like they can get older and they can make any decision that they want, but they can always come back to the example that you set for them, whatever it is, an example of faith, an example of compassion, an example of generosity, an example of working hard, of kindness, of fairness, of justice, whatever you were passionate about, whatever the values were that you wanted to live out and show your kids, no matter what road they choose on their own, they can always come back to the example you set. And so, will they? I don't know, but I hope that they will. July 7th in Louisville, Kentucky. Fantastic. Is your book translated into French? Do you own a television or subscribe to a streaming service? We have one television, and yeah, we use YouTube TV. And I think we've had a free Apple TV, Apple Plus. I think we've had a free Netflix, YouTube TV, and then I think we've had a free Apple thing for a little while. Could you look back and answer Linda's question? Okay, this is brilliant. Okay, Linda, can I go back and answer Linda's question? Okay, I am not able to part with my deceased young son's belongings. Can you please address this during your minimal home cleaning? God bless you. I am so sorry. That, as my grandpa always said, that is not how it's supposed to be. Parents aren't supposed to bury their kids. So I'll start there. Linda, let's start if your son has just passed away. If this was recent, then give yourself some time, and there's no reason to be rushing into this. If you have other decluttering to do in your home, then don't start by parting with your deceased young son's belongings. You wouldn't start there. Start with easier stuff. Start with the things that have less emotional attachment and begin freeing up other space elsewhere and begin seeing some of the benefits of owning less. And then eventually you can get to your young deceased son's belongings. And when you do, I would advise you, I don't know how much you have, what this looks like in your life specifically, but I think that you keep a few things that most represent what you loved about your young son, that phrasing's not quite right. Um, some of the traits that you most admired in your young son's life. I loved my grandpa passed away a year and a half ago. I dedicated this book to him. I loved everything that my grandpa stood for. But when he passed away and it came time to keep something of his that I wanted to inspire me, I could think to myself, okay, what was it about my grandpa that I want to live on in my life? Like, what do I most want to be true that I learned from him that I want to be true of me? What influence do I want him to have on my life? And so, with that as the mindset, I was able to go through his belongings a little bit better, a little bit more intentional, and rather than having boxes full of things in the basement or a room full of stuff that I never looked at, I could cut down to one or two things that says, okay, this represents my grandpa to me, and how I want to live going forward. And as best you can, Linda, I would take the same approach with your son. And I don't have ages, and so I don't know all the details that go into this, but I would say, man, my son was joyful. My son had a great sense of humor. My son was compassionate. My son was spontaneous. Like there were some things in my son that uh, I I want to carry on in my spirit. I want to allow his life to inspire me to make the most of my remaining seasons of life. And so, what are the couple things that most represent that in your life? I think that's probably how we do the most justice to that. Um, I don't know how old he was. I'm sure he didn't expect you to keep everything that he ever owned forever for the rest of your life. Probably just the opposite. He would say, "No, mom, like I want you to go and live your best life. And even though I'm not there to be with you, like I want you to make the most of your seasons of life that you have remaining." And so, how do we do that? Okay, someone sent me up to find Linda's question. Thank you. My daughter died 2 years ago, and I still can't get rid of her things. My eldest daughter had to donate her clothes. I couldn't. Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I think finding help in there. Linda, uh, um, Sandy makes a good point. Find someone that you love and you trust and you look up to, and bring them over, and have them help you with this, and then trust their advice. Like if you love them and they love you and you trust their judgment and you know what that they want what's best for you, then you can say, okay, I can't get rid of these clothes, but you think I should. I trust you. I know you want what's best for me. Can you do it? Like, can you take them for me? And let's find out some of the things that help the most. Okay, I've been hanging out for about 15 minutes, which has been wonderful. Honestly, like so good. What time is it? It's 6:45 p.m. Where I am, and the Phoenix Suns basketball game starts at 7 o'clock. So that's good. A wonderful, thoughtful answer. I just ordered your book, Kate. Kate, Kate. Oh, Kate. When are we gonna hang out on YouTube together? Kate, what do I got to do? How are we gonna make this happen? Um, Kate, how beautiful to see you hanging out. Can we? What do we got to do? Can we hang out live together? You're so fun. You're so fun on your YouTube channel, Kate Caden, making frugal living fun. Go look up her YouTube channel. She's great. I still remember a video you made where your cat was walking in front of you, and it was hilarious. Let's do something together, right? Can we do something together? Okay, absolutely good. You got to find me somehow. Um, Collab. My kids always make fun of me because I say collab with Kate. Beautiful. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, congratulations on your book. Can't wait to read it. Thank you. This is why I watch you. You always have an amazing reply to every question. Oh, you and Kate together would be the best. Okay, Kate, I guess it's gonna happen. What's your favorite 1990s country song? Is Cheap Seats by Alabama. Is that from the 1990s? Cheap Seats from Alabama. I don't listen to country music, but I went through a short, like 3 or 4 month phase where I did listen to country music, and it was because I was working at a car wash and one of those like self-serve, full serve car washes. And so I got in someone's car to clean the inside of it, had the air conditioning running, and Cheap Seats by Alabama, right? Am I doing that right? Cheap Seats um, came on, and I loved the song, and so I listened to country music for like 3 months that summer because I always wanted to hear that song again. So there you go. I actually have an answer. What's the best way to reach you? Kate says. I don't know. Uh, find my Facebook page, send me a message. I don't know. Should I give you my phone number? Should I just print my phone number here and you can reach me, Kate? That'd be good. Okay. Beautiful. Your children have a solid foundation. Frugal Money Saver is also an excellent channel. Fishing in the Dark. Yeah, I think Fishing in the Dark came before the 90s. Didn't it, Kim? That's my wife. I learned to two-step to Fishing in the Dark, but that I'm sure was high school. So I think that came out before the 90s. Okay, good. Now everyone's going to send me an email and we can answer. Fabulous. Okay, this was good. And how to practice minimalism on thoughts. Thoughts consume my time and hard to move forward. Um, I'm a big fan of my new book, Things That Matter, Overcoming Distraction to Pursue a More Meaningful Life. It is about applying minimalism. It's about overcoming other distractions, sometimes I think more destructive than just physical possessions. Always the pursuit of money, the pursuit of fame, the pursuit of leisure, the pursuit of happiness, fear, past mistakes, possessions, technology, um, uh, accolades. Am I forgetting one? I feel like I'm forgetting one. But it's all in here, and I would be thrilled if you would buy the book and read it, or read it however you get a hold of it. And I'm starting a virtual book tour, virtual book club. There's a link posted here, and a book tour. So, all right. Is your book available in India? Hey, Cheap Seats was 1993. I know when that song came out because it was when I was working at the car wash, the VIP car wash on 120th and Dodge in Omaha, Nebraska. Man, I loved car wash. Honestly, I loved working at a car wash. I don't know why, but what time of day will the book club be? It's going to be at 12 noon Pacific time on Fridays, 4 Fridays in a row, but it'll be recorded and made available for anyone who signs up for it. Where is the book overseas? So someone asked where it is in India, and here's my advice: go to your local Amazon, Amazon Mexico, Amazon Canada, Amazon UK, Amazon Australia, Amazon Germany, wherever you may be. Look up your local Amazon. Most international Amazon sites sold out of the book in the morning, even some last night because it had become the 19th and they were out immediately. But check and see, they get new shipments every so often. And so check and see. Or if you go to bookdepository.com, and just search for Joshua Becker, Things That Matter. Bookdepository.com ships from the US, but it has free worldwide delivery. And so I think it takes like 10 or 15 days based on some of the comments that I was receiving earlier today. It might take 10 or 14 days to get to you, but it's free shipping. And I think if you're closer to the US, it might not take that long. Also, it might be sooner than your local Amazon is going to have it if you're international, if you're overseas. So you'll just want to check that out. But this has been great. Thank you, Raven Hair Rock Goddess who loves Foreigner, says bestseller. And I don't know if there's anyone I trust more than Raven Hair Rock Goddess who loves Foreigner 53. So thank you. All right, everybody. Have a great evening. I just love this. I just love hanging out with you guys. We'll do it again for sure. Okay, talk to you later. And Gabriella, thanks for hosting and thanks for being there. Kim, thanks for all your stuff chiming in here as well. Nice to know that both my wife and Gabriella, you two producer, are hanging out. Talk to you all later. Bye.